Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question comes to us from a viewer. Thanks to Lycrast for this one. Amy attacks with Zangeif, and Nick blocks with the grizzly bears. Amy then plays a spell that gives Zangeif Trample before damage. What happens? Alright, so just by looking at the art, you can tell that this combat phase is not going to end very well for grizzly bears. Okay, editing Dave, lighten up. It was just a joke. Alright, so anyway, we know the grizzly bears is not going to live through this combat. But what about Nick? Does he have to sacrifice a permanent or not? In order to answer this question, we're going to need to take a look at the comprehensive rules, specifically this one here, which spells out exactly what the game means when it says excess damage to a creature. In this case, it just means damage in excess of the creature's toughness, taking into account any damage that might already exist on the creature and any damage that's getting dealt at the same time. So with this in hand, we can see that if Amy chooses the traditional distribution of 5 damage to Nick and 2 damage to grizzly bears, then that would not qualify as dealing excess damage to the grizzly bears based on the definition that we just saw. The grizzly bears is taking 2 damage, which is equal to its toughness, and so therefore there is no excess. Now, I said if just now because that's not the only play that Amy can legally make. If we take a look at Trample, we can see that it's actually possible for Amy to choose the distribution of damage any way she wants as long as the grizzly bears is getting at least 2. That means that it would, for example, be possible for Amy to deal 3 damage to the grizzly bears and 4 damage to Nick, which would mean that the grizzly bears was dealt 1 excess damage, and so therefore, in that case, Amy would get the trigger that makes Nick sacrifice a permanent. Now, that's probably the only 2 different distributions of damage that Amy would want to consider, because Zangief's trigger is not worded in such a way that more excess damage equals more sacrificing. So that would be Amy's options. She could deal 5 damage to Nick, in which case he would not have to sacrifice, or she could deal 4 damage to him and 3 damage to grizzly bears, and that 1 excess damage would mean that Nick would have to sacrifice. Any other combination of damage where the grizzly bears gets at least 2 is also legal, so long as it totals up to 7, of course. But that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.